record this. Okay, so we're going to go through a question 2, a question 3, and a question 4. Real answer from a real student, and we're going to see how we did. Basically, this is for the AQA exam. So in the question 2 question was, how does the writer use language to describe Rosabel's bus journey home? There's this short extract that we're looking at, obviously. So let's have a look at the answer. So in the extract, Mansfield uses language to describe disgust. Good. Okay, so straight away we've got a point. The bus journey is disgusting, so that is a good starting point. It's shown when it says black, greasy mud. This infers the disgust of mud that clings and holds on, with the inference of oil, which is black and greasy and used for cars. The word greasy conveys a horrible slimy substance that's not nice to touch. So straight away we've got great analysis of a quote that is highly relevant. The one small thing I'd like to see in here would be, I want to see just a direct reference to the fact it's the bus journey. So in the extract, Mansfield uses language to describe the bus journey as disgusting, and everything then with the analysis is perfect. In the extract, Mansfield conveys language in sadness. Good. So the bus journey is sad. Again, try and put that term in. The bus journey is what it's asking you specifically, so try and put that. It's shown when it says one meaningless staring face. This infers that there is no emotion in the people on the bus, like they are all worn out and just want to go home. Absolutely. The word meaningless conveys the sense of not having any worth or point doing. Cool. Okay, so again, we have some clear evidence here as to why the bus journey seems to be sad. So I didn't pick up on this. I think you did this in the first paragraph as well. So saying, what you would say is, we can infer. Inferring is something we would do. So rather than saying this infers, you would say we infer, or the reader infers the disgust. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or this creates disgust, or this suggests, or something. But excellent. Zoomed in on words, explain what the words convey and how it shows these things. This answer would get a 6 out of 8. The major thing is just make sure that the point at the beginning just says whatever the thing is that's being described. So in this case, the bus journey is conveyed or described as sad. The bus journey is conveyed or described as disgusting. Analysis of the language, perfect. Zooming in on certain words and what they create, absolutely perfect. So yeah, 6 out of 8, very, very good. Very, very good. All right, question 3. This was a second attempt, I believe. So the question for question 3 will always be, how has the writer structured the text to interest you? And what I'm looking for as an examiner is ideally specific types of interest. So rather than just saying this is interesting, I want to see like, this creates mystery, this creates tension, this creates, excitement, happiness, laughter, whatever. Okay, so the writer uses a range of structural techniques to interest the reader. Cool. It starts off in the first paragraph with Rosabel saying she would have sacrificed her soul for a good dinner. Since we have no context of what has happened before, it gives inference that she's poor. In the next paragraph, there is a focus to the bus and a zoom in on all of the meaningless faces on the bus, and the sickening smell of the warm humanity for all of the robots on the bus. Okay, so this paragraph here has a lot of potential. It starts with this idea of creating a sense of mystery and concern for her, because it says she would have sacrificed her soul for a good dinner. So the type of interest here that we can infer is that she is poor and she's hungry, and so that builds concern. So we do need to say that specifically. We need to say, the use of the focal point creates concern from the reader. The next bit, saying there's a focal shift, is excellent. I think it's great to do focal points and focal shifts for this question. And what you would say for the idea that the focal shift shows the meaningless faces and the sickening smell of warm humanity, all of this, I think, adds deeper to the sense of concern for Rosabelle. So I think that all we need here is a slightly stronger point at the beginning. The writer uses focal shifts and focal points to create concern for Rosabelle, which interests the reader. And then the analysis of what you've put the references is really good. In the middle section, there is a flashback to where Rosabelle is working in the hat shop, where there is a girl with beautiful red hair and white skin, which has connotations of rich and posh if she looks so good. There is then a focal shift to her partner, who was so well dressed, cementing that they are very wealthy. Afterwards, there is a zoom in on finding the perfect hat, and after a lot of tryouts, they find it. So this is a really good description of the middle, the flashback, technical language for that. You could call it, let me just write this in for a sec. You could call it analepsis. That's what a fancy word for flashback is, analepsis. So that would really impress the examiner to use that word, analepsis. The idea here of the fact they're really wealthy is good. What I would do just to strengthen this a little bit more is I would say that then this then forms a juxtaposition with the poverty of Rosabelle, and maybe that deepens our concern for Rosabelle, which is again what interests us. Maybe the fact we feel pathos, pity for Rosabelle, especially because she has to serve these wealthy patrons of her shop while she is sat on a bus and she's hungry, right? At the end, there's a patronizing comment which brings focus back to Rosabelle's emotions of anger and jealousy, which is focused on when it says she longed to throw the lovely perishable thing in the girl's face. After there is a focal change to the girl getting into the carriage and leaving. Okay, excellent. So again, all of this is really good focal point and description of focal points. I think the one thing that the answer needs a little bit more of is what the reader is thinking or feeling. So, you know, after you've said that she's angry and jealous and she wants to throw the thing in the girl's face and stuff, we need to just take a second and say, as the reader, we feel interested in this because we're frustrated like Rosabelle is. Or maybe we feel, you know, maybe we feel frustrated with Rosabelle. Maybe we're actually on the side of the wealthy people. Like, it's not their fault they have money and she's just trying to do her job. I don't know. But we need to have a little bit more reader response in this answer. But because of all the great descriptions of focal points and focal shifts, I still think it would get a 5 out of 8. It just needs to be clearer on what the reader is feeling. And then this would be up at a 7, 6 or a 7 with what you've put. The only other thing I would recommend maybe is I would recommend trying to put in one other bit of FOPPS. So at the moment, we've just got focal points and focal shifts. It would be really good to also try and put in like some pace or a long sentence and how that was interesting, or a short sentence and how that was interesting, or a particular piece of punctuation, something like that. But it's still a 5 out of 8. It's a good answer. Those are the ways to improve it. All right, and then we got question 4, final question. The length of this answer is excellent. Straight away, I just want to say, like, this is a good length of answer. You should be doing a couple of pages, ideally, especially have slightly larger handwriting. This is a really good length of answer. And you should be spending 25 minutes on question 4. So I somewhat agree with the statement that the girl in, oh, I've got to do the question first, sorry. So the question was, this part of the story set in the hat shop shows that the red-haired girl has many advantages in life. So that's the first thing you'll agree with or disagree with. Does the red-haired girl seem to be advantaged or privileged? And then the second bit of it is, I think Rosabelle is right to be angry. So you have to decide whether you agree Rosabelle is right to be angry or disagree Rosabelle doesn't have a right to be angry. And you want to form a judgment on those. So straight away, the beginning of this answer is great. I somewhat agree with the statement that the girl in red hair, or the girl with red hair, obviously has many advantages in life. Perfect. You start with the judgment. That's exactly right. Her green ribbon shot with gold, the fact her partner is demanding an exact hat, which gives the impression they are very wealthy, because only someone with a lot of money would be able to be so specific because they can pay. Good. Also, Rosabelle's anger was mostly justified, as earlier on in the extract, we find she would have sacrificed herself for a good dinner, which obviously means she hasn't had enough money. She hasn't got enough money to eat properly. She even has to take the bus home because she can't afford her own transport. This is all excellent understanding of the piece. And that's one of the big things for question 4 is you want to show that you understand and comprehend what is going on with the characters, the setting, the story generally. So this is excellent so far. The weather is used to convey her situation. Her dress is covered in black and greasy mud for a metaphorical image of the grudge she can't get over. That is really clever. So the stain on her clothes is like the stain on her mood. That is very, very interesting. Very, very good. The girl and that really is top level stuff, because you're pushing to an interpretation that a lot of students wouldn't see or notice. So that's really, really good. The girl she served was a juxtaposition of Rosabel's life, because she's well dressed and can afford her own transport. She also has a partner who is able to buy everything she wants, which is infuriating for Rosabel, who can't. Excellent paragraph, great understanding of what's going on in the story. It does justify whether the red-haired girl does have privilege or advantage in her life, and also whether Rosabel is right to be angry about it or not. I think it answers the question really well so far. However, Rosabel's reaction could be seen as an overreaction, as the comment the girl made of "it suits you beautifully" may have been a genuine compliment, and the only reason Rosabel felt anger was the jealousy that her life hadn't been spoon-fed to her, just like the girl, and that's just the way of life. Also, some of her jealousy could be from the fact that the girl has a nice partner who is happy with, and Rosabel hasn't. True. In conclusion, I think Rosabel has the right to be angry, but it may have been more from jealousy rather than hating the girl. Okay, great. So the second paragraph is still solid. It develops on a few extra ideas. Remember, you've only got 25 minutes to plan and write this. So I think that having written this much is actually really impressive for the time and of this quality. We could potentially have had a couple more quotes across the thing, but I think you've done quite well with quite a few good quotes, actually. And one other final thing, though, if you're going to do a conclusion, which I think is a perfectly good idea for this question, just try and touch upon everything in the statement. So at the moment, you said she does have somewhat of a right to be angry, but maybe it comes more from jealousy. That's great. I would also want in the conclusion, ideally, to say, overall, I do think that the red-haired girl does have advantages in life, or overall, I don't think she has advantages in life. So just make sure that you answer both bits of the statement in the conclusion. But having said all that, I think that this answer, in its current form, based on great ideas, very clear knowledge of the text, would still get a 15 out of 20. I think it's a very good answer. Couple more quotes wouldn't hurt. A little bit of a longer, better conclusion wouldn't have hurt to boost it up to 20. But generally, it's a 15 out of 20, which is excellent. So hopefully that helps you that have been watching this. Some really good answers here from my student, and obviously a few ways to improve them and get them all the way to full marks. But you know, I think you've done a fantastic job, Mr. Student. And yeah, hopefully you liked that video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.